Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about standard form of a quadratic equation. So first, what is standard form? Standard form of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And each of these different parts tell us a different characteristic about our quadratic function. First, we see that when a is greater than 0, or in other words, when our a in front of x squared is positive, then the graph is going to open up. It's going to look like a U shape. When a is negative or less than 0, then the graph opens down. And so it's going to be that shape. Our y-intercept, or in other words, where our graph crosses the y-axis, is going to be the point 0, c. So whatever that last number is on our equation. Our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals opposite of b over 2a. So this negative sign in front of b, I want you to think of it as opposite. And so that means you're taking the opposite sign. So if b, for instance, were 4, opposite of b would be negative 4. If b was negative 4, opposite of b would be positive 4. And then we can also find our vertex from standard form. Our vertex is going to be, my x value is the same thing as the axis symmetry, so just like we learned about last time. And our vertex and our y-coordinate of our vertex is going to be the value when we plug our x value back into the equation. And something to note here is that our a in standard form is the same as a in vertex form. So in vertex form, we had y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. This a value that we see here is going to be the exact same a value that we see in our standard form. So let's go ahead and practice graphing these. So I'm going to graph each function, and then I'm going to identify the vertex, axis symmetry, max/min, domain, and range. So in order to graph this, we're going to graph it similarly to how we did with the vertex form, in that I'm going to first find my vertex, and then I'm going to use that pattern 1, 3, 5 to go ahead and create some other points. So we learned that our vertex is the x-coordinate is opposite b over 2a, and then I plug that value into my equation to find my y-coordinate. So I'm going to first find my x-coordinate. So to do that, I need to label what my a, b, and c are. So my a is the number in front of x squared, so my a here is 3. My b is the number in front of x, which here is negative 6, and c is my last number. So I want to take the opposite of b, so I'm taking the opposite sign of negative 6 over 2 times a, which is 3. Well, opposite of negative 6 is just positive 6 over 2 times 3, which is 6. So I get that x is equal to 1. So that means that my first coordinate of my vertex is 1. Now I need to figure out what y is. Well, to find out what my y value is, I'm going to go ahead and plug 1 back into my equation. So I have 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 1. Well, 1 squared is just 1, so 3 times 1 I get 3, minus 6 plus 1. 3 minus 6, I get negative 3. Negative 3 plus 1, I get negative 2. So there's my vertex. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this now. So my vertex is at 1, negative 2. And then I'm going to use my a value to make some other points. So remember, our pattern here is 1, 3, 5. And I need to multiply this by my a value. Well, my a value here is 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. So that means to get my next point on the left and right of my vertex, I'm going to go up 3 and to the right 1. Up Going up 3. And then to get my next one, I'd go up 9. So it's somewhere over here. And so there's my graph. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out the rest of what it's asking. My axis symmetry, remember that's just always your x value of the vertex, so it's going to be x equals 1. Here, my max/min, since a is bigger than 0, this is going to be a minimum value. So I have a lowest point, and that is my y value of the vertex, so it's going to be -2. Domain is always all real numbers. And then my range is going to be y is either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to my max/min value. Here, since my graph is going everything above -2, this is going to be y is greater than or equal to -2. So number 2, we have y equals -1/3 x squared plus 2x plus 1. My first step is to go ahead and label what my a, b, and c are. So here my a is -1/3, my b is 2, and my c is 1. So I'm going to first find my vertex. That's going to be x is equal to the opposite of b over 2a. Here my b value is 2, so the opposite of b is going to be -2 over 2 times a, which is -1/3. So simplifying this out, 2 times -1/3, I get -2/3. So here I have -2 divided by -2/3. When I'm dividing a fraction, I'm really multiplying it by its reciprocal. So it's going to be really -2 times -3/2. And when I multiply those together, I get a +3. So the x-coordinate of my vertex is +3. And so that means my axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Now I want to find my y value. So to find my y value, I need to plug 3 back into my equation. So I'm going to have y equals -1/3 times 3 squared plus 2 times 3 plus 1. 3 squared, I get 9. 2 times 3 is 6. -1/3 times 9, I get -3 plus 6 plus 1. And so I get that y is equal to 4. And so that means my max/min value is also 4. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. So I first graph my vertex, that's at 3, 4. And then I need to figure out my other points. So I want to use that 1, 3, 5 pattern. But then I need to remember I need to multiply by my a value. My a value is -1/3. So I get -1/3, -1, and -5/3. So to get to my next point, since it's -1/3, I'm going to go down a third. So it's going to be approximately here on either side. Next, I want to go down 1. And then I want to go down 5/3, which is really 1 and 2/3. And so my graph will look something like this. So here, since I see that my graph is opened downwards, and I know that also because my a is less than 0, that this is going to be a maximum. My domain is still just all real numbers. And then my range here is y is less than or equal to 4 because I have all y values below 4.